August 12th, 2016. Guys, this is part 3 of the NWO series, New World Order, that I've been talking about. And it goes back to something, I guess, for over a year now that we've acknowledged in different videos when we were talking about this. And, of course, it's the Albert Pike letter. And he tells us how, after World War I and then World War II, how they plan to bring about World War III. And the end game of that is to bring about the end of Christianity and the bringing in of the Luciferian doctrine. Now, we'll take a look at that. And this has to do with Unleash the Nihilist in that particular paragraph leading up to World War III. But there's a report coming out of the Gateway Pundit, and I will link to it. It's an update. It says ISIS terrorist tells feds he has jihadist brothers in Mexico. This has been reported for a while, and it even leads into some of the drug cartel information. It's interesting when you tie that in. But earlier this year, a top-ranking Homeland Security official acknowledged that Mexican drug cartels were helping ISIS sneak across the southern border to scope out targets for terrorist attacks. You better pay attention, you Hillary heads. Says ISIS operative Sheikh Mahmoud Omar Kabir has reportedly been training militants near the U.S. border, near Juarez, for the past year. Guys, Juarez is across the river and across the bridge from El Paso. I've been there, seen it. If you've ever been in that area, it's a big bowl. El Paso has one color street light, and I think if I remember right, Juarez has a green tint. It looks like a split bowl of two different colors at night. They are beautiful desert country. But this is the area they're talking about, one of the camps. There's also reports that this leader that's across the border, Kabir, has said in an Italian newspaper article published last week that the border region is so open that he could get in with a handful of men and kill thousands of people in Texas or in Arizona in the space of a few hours. Think about this. Think about what we've been talking about. And today, Judicial Watch has confirmed reports that ISIS is operating in Mexico. Now, guys, when you talk about the New World Order and who really created ISIS with the destabilization of the Middle East and who wants the borders wide open. Now, I want to read the report about the guy they captured in Ohio, and it's very interesting. It says an ISIS operative arrested and criminally charged in Ohio this month has confirmed that the terrorist group has cells in Mexico, according to federal authorities. Now, did you hear this on the mainstream? Of course not. This open border policy of the Republican traitor Paul Ryan and Hillary and Obama is meant to bring this about. It says Judicial Watch has reported this for years, documenting it in a series of articles as part of ongoing investigation on the connection between drug cartels, corruption, and terrorism on the southern border. In fact, last spring, Judicial Watch broke a story about an ISIS camp just a few miles from El Paso, Texas, in an area known as Anapra, situated just west of Juarez in the Mexican state of Chihuahua. It goes on to say, though a number of high-level law enforcement, intelligence, and military sources on both sides of the border have provided Judicial Watch with evidence that Islamic terrorist cells are operating in Mexico, the Obama administration has publicly denied it, both to Judicial Watch and in mainstream media outlets. Guys, that is the New World Order plan. That's why they're in a panic about Hillary. And guys, you know, you've seen the videos, that Hillary's health looks very bad. She looks very unstable. They don't care. Why? Because she's not going to be the one pulling the strings. She's just a puppet put in place. It could be Bill. It could be someone else that actually is doing the leading of this country straight to hell. Complete sellout. It says now we have a terrorism suspect in custody, proudly affirming it. His name is Eric Jamal Hendricks, and the U.S. has charged him with conspiring to provide ISIS and ISIL material support. Hendricks created a sleeper cell with at least 10 members, according to the Department of Justice, and claims that some of the jihadist brothers are just south of the U.S. border in Mexico. The 35-year-old lived for a short time in Charlotte, North Carolina, and was arrested and charged in Ohio last week. Hendricks tried to recruit people to train together and conduct terrorist attacks in the U.S., and this is according to the government's criminal complaint. Not mainstream, is it? Not with the election coming up. And guys, have you noticed the panic now from the Democrats and really a lot of the federal government, even some of the Republicans? They don't want to give Donald Trump the top secret briefings as they start to get closer and closer to the election. Why? Because some of this information is in here, and he will use it on his build the wall campaign rhetoric. He needs to build a wall. We need to build a wall. Something's got to be done. Hendricks contacted another ISIS operative referred to as CW1, who was arrested last summer, about working with him and several other terrorists to carry out attacks. Hendricks allegedly told CW1 that he needed people and wanted to meet in person. That there were several brothers located in Texas and Mexico, that he was attempting to get brothers to meet face-to-face, and that he wanted to get brothers to train together. This is according to the Department of Justice announcement. Who runs that? Why isn't it in mainstream? Hendricks and his sleeper cell targeted U.S. military members and a woman who organized a Draw Muhammad contest in Garland, Texas last May. Two men in body armor with assault rifles tried to carry out an attack in the Dallas suburb buildings where the event took place, but were shot dead by police. The FBI says Hendricks was connected with a terrorism-related shooting. Federal prosecutors reveal that Hendricks vetted CW1 by testing his religious knowledge and commitment to jihad, to die as a martyr, and his desire to enter paradise. This is from the federal papers. Many of you have read this letter and seen it on the videos, and I will link to it again because I'm not going to go through the time to read World War I and II, that information, but it is very clear exactly what they did. If you remember in the World War II section, they were going to form the State of Israel after World War II, which they did, and it was like an aggravation into the Muslim world, and that would start this final war. But the Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the Asian tour of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, listen guys, Islam and political Zionism destroy each other. Think about it. You do a lot of things at one time. The war machine gets wealthy. You have depopulation control, and the end game bring in the Luciferian doctrine. It says, meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economic exhaustion. We shall unleash the nihilist and the atheist, and we shall provoke a formidable social cataclysm, which in all of its horror will show clearly to the nations the effect of absolute atheism, the origin of savagery, and the most bloody turmoil. Then everywhere the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization. We've talked about this before. The nation will be split. Many will be blamed for domestic terrorism while they're just trying to defend their freedom. And then you're going to have the same protest group that you've seen protesting Trump and the people at the Hillary rallies almost get an open season on the domestic terrorists, a purge, if you will. It says, then everywhere the citizens obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries, think about it, will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and the multitude, listen, disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction. What did he say? Something major. I'm going to say it like this. There's been a major lie told to the Christian people. And when that major lie doesn't come about, and the people realize they're going through tribulation, just like Christ said in those days after the tribulation, you shall see the Son of Man. Remember, there's a tribulation. Christ he talks about that, and after that there's the wrath of God two different things. Still, we go through the tribulation. But guys, when that happens, when this great lie that does not occur, and the multitude disillusioned with Christianity, whose deistic spirits will from that moment be without compass or direction, won't know where to go. I had all my beans in one basket. I was going to get on out of here. What happens? They're anxious for an ideal, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer, finally brought out in the public view. The great deception. The whole world will wonder after the beast. The whole world will worship the beast. This manifestation will result from the general reactionary movement, which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time. That is the New World Order plan, and it's being carried out to the T. We're watching it, guys. Think about it. I will link to the entire Albert Pike letter, and I will link to the articles we were talking about in this video. It's a heads up. Be safe.